Going to bring the Plan Commission meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I know it's a nasty night, and I appreciate everyone coming out late like this and attending. A lot of you are here for the Briarleaf matter. The way these meetings are structured, we do some housekeeping and business, then there'll be a presentation on the project, and then there'll be opportunity for public comment. If you have comments, make sure you sign a sheet and get it up here so we can call you up and you'd have a chance to comment. We want to hear what you have to say. First item of business, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do roll call. Pete Saunders.
Yep.
Vika Gosrowski.
Here.
Miles is yet on his way. Drew Buchanan.
Here.
And Julie West.
Here.
And I'm Jerry Jackson. So we have quorum. Has everyone had a chance to look at the meetings from October 14th of this year?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of October 14th. Any comments, any corrections?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we approve the minutes. Next item on the agenda is item 5, zone map change number 25-03 to rezone from the R1B Single Family Residential District to the R1D Single Family Residential District. The petitioner is Lanar, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Homes of Indiana LLC, and attorney Bill Nelson is making the presentation. I'd invite Mr. Nelson up to make the presentation.
I believe Bert Cook is going to present first.
Okay.
Good evening to the Plan Commission. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. LEAP handles the economic development for the city of LaPorte. As Plan Commission members, many of you have participated in many different planning and strategy discussions surrounding the growth of LaPorte. The City Council members seated here have participated in even more and are acutely aware of the challenges facing LaPorte and our desperate need for growth. I'll start my comments there. Senate Bill 1, which resulted in property tax savings for residents, also caused a myriad of challenges for schools, libraries, and cities. Speaking with financial consultants across our state, one common piece of guidance has emerged. Communities must grow or fail. Tonight is the first step in that growth. Over the last 5 years, numerous housing studies have been conducted. Some of those studies, like the study conducted by the Health Foundation of LaPorte, are public, while other private studies have also been conducted as well. All the studies have similarities in the results. LaPorte needs somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 new housing units. These are units of all types: market rate single-family homes, affordable single-family homes, townhomes, condos, multifamily residential, and subsidized housing as well. I'd like to ask to share a copy of both the HFL Housing Study and the Unity Foundation's 2025 Housing Analysis and Action Agenda for the record. I've provided those to David Heinholt. The project that's being presented to you tonight is directly in line with the needs and recommendations provided in those studies. The studies identify a great need for many different types of housing, and traditional subdivision development is a big part of that need. Interestingly, last Thursday, there was a zoning reform seminar hosted by the Health Foundation and the Unity Foundation. Commission member Saunders was at that meeting as well, and I think he will agree that the recommendations from these speakers also aligned with what you're considering tonight. In fact, K.K. Gerhard Fritz, the keynote speaker and fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners, shared that one of her first pieces of advice is to, and I quote, reduce inflated lot sizes in all residential districts. There's been a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money spent on evaluating our community needs and creating a plan for improvement. I ask you, what's the purpose and value in those efforts if we do not act on them? The good news is most people in our community recognize the need for growth. Rarely do I speak with someone who does not agree new residential development is needed. I often hear, you need to bring in new residential options so my children can move back. Or, my employees don't have options to purchase a home in LaPorte because there's nothing new being built. Frankly, we know that those individuals in charge of hiring at our employers often don't even show housing options in LaPorte because there is so little available. And the probability says that they are more successful showing homes in neighboring communities because the supply is so much greater there. It happens all the time. The bad news is development involves change, and unfortunately always affects someone. A moment ago I shared that I hear, you need to bring in new residential options so my children can move back. But there's also normally a second part of that sentence, and that is, as long as the new development isn't in my neighborhood. Let me be the first to say I understand that sentiment. I have close friends in Tiffany Woods and Briarleaf Villas, and I understand that they are disappointed in the changes facing their area. It is human nature, and change is hard. Over the last 20 years, I've had the pleasure of standing in front of you all in the LaPorte City Council many times. Often, I tell you I wish I could bring you new development opportunities that are supported by everyone. Unfortunately, those projects do not exist. I know you will hear from community members who do not feel this is good for LaPorte. I respect their opinion, but I do not agree. Whether it's our shrinking enrollment at our schools, or reductions in funding due to property tax savings, or our overall population stagnation, these all highlight our desperate need for growth. In just a moment, I'll close my comments, and Bill Nelson and the team from Lennar will take you through their requests. Before I do that, though, I want to mention 3 things that I feel are vitally important to this discussion. Number 1, Briarleaf Golf Course is closed because of the challenges that all golf courses are facing. It's a tough industry, and the team at Recreation Properties should be commended for operating the course as long as they did. Lennar has nothing to do with this closing. In my conversations with residents of this area, many spoke of the worst-case scenario, which is a vacant, unmaintained golf course as seen in other areas of Northwest Indiana. I share the opinion that we cannot let this be an option. Number 2, I credit Mayor Dermody and the Lennar team led by Todd Clevin for their willingness and effort on the communication side of this proposal. You are all aware of the statutory requirements associated with these requests, but from the beginning, the mayor has been adamant that we speak with and provide as much information as possible to those residents in Tiffany Woods, Briarleaf Villas, and Sharmar Hills. That has resulted in a tremendous number of group and individual meetings, phone calls, and emails. In addition, the Lennar team has also done everything in their power to share plans, take feedback, and adjust based on residents' concerns. I'd also like to thank Paul Skiwat and Beth Pale as they represented contingents in their neighborhoods and helped disseminate information throughout this process. Finally, I'll speak to growth once again. Earlier, I spoke about the need for growth from the city perspective, but it's not just the municipality. Our school corporation is also in desperate need for growth. I'd like to read a letter from Superintendent Dr. Wood referencing the school's need for growth. Dear Mr. Cook, I'm writing on behalf of the LaPorte Community School Corporation to express our strong support for continued residential growth and development within our community. As you know, the vitality of our school district is closely tied to the vibrancy of LaPorte as a whole, and we are encouraged by the ongoing efforts of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership to attract new families and strengthen the economic landscape of our city. Over the past 2 decades, our district has experienced a steady decline in student enrollment, resulting in the loss of nearly 900 students over the last 18 years. While we remain deeply committed to delivering an excellent education to every child in our schools, this long-term decline has resulted in excess capacity across many of our buildings. As a result, we are well-positioned to welcome additional families and students without requiring significant new construction or major capital expansion. Increased enrollment not only helps us optimize the use of our facilities, but also allows the district to grow financially, broaden programming, and expand opportunities for students across all grade levels. I also want to note the meaningful fiscal impact that residential development has on our community, particularly when new projects are located outside of tax increment financing districts. Growth in assessed valuation directly strengthens our district's ability to increase its property tax levy capacity, which is especially important factor as we continue to navigate the budgetary constraints resulting from Senate Enrollment Act 1. Development that contributes to the district's assessed value supports our long-term stability and enables us to invest in the students, staff, and programs that are essential to LaPorte's future. We value the strong partnership between the LaPorte Community School Corporation and LEAP, and we appreciate the important role your organization plays in fostering growth and opportunity throughout our community. Please do not hesitate to reach out if our district can be a partner or resource in supporting upcoming development initiatives. Thank you for your continued leadership and commitment to making LaPorte a thriving place to live, work, and learn. I've also submitted that to David Heinhold for the record as well. There are many different strategies communities across our state are using to address their challenges, but almost all of them begin with population and assessed value growth. Both of those begin with places for people to live. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you on the broader goals and plan for the growth of LaPorte, and I appreciate your consideration of this important project. Bill?
Let me take, first of all, I'm Bill Nelson.
Say name and address.
Yes, Bill Nelson. I am legal counsel to Lennar. I am with the law firm of Brady, Nelson, and Janes in Michigan City. And Planning Commission, it's good to be in front of you once again. It's been a while since I've seen you. I got some housekeeping matters to take care of as well, and those are the notice requirements. With my, or on December 2nd, I submitted online my affidavit of notification, but I will provide another copy of that here tonight. That is my affidavit of notification confirming that I complied with the notification requirements. I'm also going to submit an affidavit of publication from the Regional News, a local newspaper, verifying that the publication as required in the newspaper was published on November 20. Also an affidavit of publication from the Herald Dispatch, verifying that the publication was published in that newspaper on November 22nd. Also attached with this is a list of all the property owners that were entitled to individual notice under the rules. I also have an affidavit of a paralegal from my office verifying her research process to identify each and every individual property owner that's entitled to individual notice. She cross-referenced that with the real estate office to make sure we got everybody. And as a result, 69 properties were identified, 62 notices went out. The reason being some of those owners own more than one parcel. I'm also going to submit the green cards we have back, as well as the status of the green cards that have not come back. Not only do we have the receipt showing that they were sent via certified mail, but my paralegal was diligent enough to even print out the current update as to the status of those. So notice requirements have been met, and I'd like to make these of record. I want to talk very briefly before I introduce the Lennar team about the notice requirements. I understand that in a situation like this, when there's many property owners in the area, some may question, why did my neighbor get notice and why did I not get notice? So I want to just briefly try and maybe dispel any concerns or conspiracies that anybody got left out or overlooked. What the rules require is if you own property, real estate, that has a contiguous line to the petitioning property, that being Briarleaf. I'm just going to call it Briarleaf tonight because everybody knows where it is. If you have a contiguous property line, you're entitled to individual notice. And those of you that are here that have property lines contiguous, maybe along Sharmar, maybe in Tiffany, you got those notices. If you have a property line that would be contiguous but for a street, such as 300, you are entitled to notice. Okay? So in Sharmar Hills, folks that literally have a contiguous property line out the back of their property were entitled to notice. Their neighbors across the street do not get individual notice because they have more than just a road between them and the Briarleaf property. There's another parcel there. If your property is catty corner to or diagonal to, you're entitled to notice. So everybody that was entitled to notice got notice. If you wonder why in Sharmar Hills your neighbor across the street got an individual notice and you didn't, hopefully you understood my explanation in that they have a contiguous line and you don't. So I'm hoping that maybe dispels any concerns or shortens comments if someone was going to comment about their concern for not getting public notice. Now we can start and move on to the actual project. I want to introduce the Lennar team that's with me here tonight. Todd Clevin is here, and you'll be hearing from him shortly to hear more of the intricate details of the proposed project. He is the VP of Land for Lennar. Luke Fricke is the Entitlements Manager. Andre Hadami is the Land Acquisition Manager. All three of them are here tonight. Also here tonight, or at least on her way, I understand that she may have got stuck in some traffic issues, Madeline Larman. Madeline Larman is with Mackey Consultants, LLC. She is the engineer for this entire project, this entire development. She is the head engineer for. She is handling and in charge of all engineering aspects. That includes issues such as water supply, water retention, and water drainage. That includes issues such as traffic, which means that she is working with NDOT to determine traffic issues, traffic concerns, traffic requirements, and ultimately, after the traffic study is fully completed that will be required by NDOT, she will be identifying what Lennar has to do to comply with NDOT requirements for traffic control. She's also working with IDEM on environmental issues. That has already started. There's a lot still to do as the project develops, but that has already started. IDEM has already involved itself and identified at least 2 wetlands and identified this is how far you need to stay away from those. So my point being is this. This is an organic project. All the answers will not be available tonight. Lennar and developers like them find out first what the basics are, if the community and the leadership has interest, and they pursue those determinations. Once the city and boards like yourself may make decisions to let this development move forward, those conversations with IDEM, with NDOT, with the local city government here, including our city engineer, our head of water. All of those processes will get much more in-depth. Speaking of city department heads, I anticipate there may be some questions tonight regarding water supply. I anticipate there may be questions tonight regarding drainage. Nick Minnick, the city engineer, is here tonight and has already been involved with the Lennar engineer. Tim Werner, water superintendent, is here tonight and can answer specific questions related to water supply and also, for the purposes of Plan Commission tonight, wastewater. Devin Hunsberger is here tonight, is the MS4 coordinator, and will be involved in the various water and drainage issues. And Craig Phillips, city planner, is also here tonight. Any number of these folks will be able to answer questions regarding this development at the stage it's at now. So let's turn to the project itself now. Let's start with a little history of the property. Briarleaf has been a golf course for many years. My research tells me since 1973. And it sits on approximately 116 acres. Everybody in this room knows where Briarleaf is. I can guarantee you that the woods along those fairways hold some of my golf balls, and the ponds still are holding some of them as well, probably some of you here as well. It's a golf course that many of us have played, that we know, that has been a part of our community here for a long time. Golf really grew in popularity in the last 20 to 30 years when, or about 20 to 30 years ago, it really grew in popularity. Many people started playing the game that had never played before. Research shows that golf professionals got more teaching lessons in during those times than ever. And what else happened? Developers decided it was time to build new golf courses. And golf courses sprung up. If you're a golfer, you saw it around here. Blackthorn and South Bend sprung up during that time frame. Brassey and Chesterton sprung up during that time frame. But the problem was that as golf courses developed more and more, they were all competing for the same rounds of golf, meaning the same dollars. And that competition started harming many golf courses and creating, really impacting their financial viability. What I can tell you tonight is the impact of that and the financial viability of Briarleaf has existed for far many more years than the public realizes. The owner of the property signed a consent form authorizing Lennar to make this presentation night and submit this petition. It's also authorized me to speak on its behalf. And the owner has authorized me to share some of the details of that difficult history. Prior to the decision to sell the property, the golf course suffered historical and unsustainable financial distress. On good years, the golf course broke even, but most years required the owner to subsidize the operation with infusion of additional cash. When I asked, why would you do that? One of the owners said it was his hobby. He enjoyed owning a golf course. But no business can sustain a model like that. These financial conditions eventually forced the owner to list the golf course for sale with Macaulay Realty in February of '23. There was little interest shown and not a single offer made, and the listing expired a year later. During this time, there was talk of one individual who was a member of the Golf Course Men's Club and lived nearby who reportedly tried to get a group together to finance a purchase, but it appears the plan didn't gain traction. The owner then attempted to engage golf course brokers like the Kemper Group to help sell the golf course as a golf course, but those brokers weren't even interested in listing it. Circumstances changed, health issues arose, and the owner group was no longer able or willing to operate at an annual financial loss. The owners made the difficult decision earlier this year that 2025 would be the last year the golf course would be open, and opportunities for sale for other uses of the property would be explored. I am owner authorized to state that under no circumstances will Briarleaf Golf Course open again for golf operations. It is permanently closed. If you look into the golf industry, and particularly the golf course operational industry, you'll find that this is not unique to Briarleaf. You'll find that Briarleaf is really falling along the lines with many, many other golf courses. We did an analysis, and if you could put that on the, oh, you've got it up here, all right. Can that slide over a little bit to the left at all? Well, I guess not. We can see the final right column. We did an analysis of golf courses in Lake, Porter, LaPorte, St. Joseph, Newton, Jasper, Stark, Pulaski, Marshall, and Fulton counties, basically northwest Indiana. What we discovered was that there were 69 total golf courses in northwest Indiana in these counties. Here's what else we discovered. Since 2018, 7 years ago, 9 of these courses have permanently closed. Here's what else is shocking. 7 of them have closed since 2020, in 5 years. That's 13% of the golf courses in northwest Indiana closed in 7 years. Slightly over 10% of them since 2018. If you can see this screen up here, it lists them all out. I just talked about Brassey. 3 of them in Porter County, 4 of them in Lake County, 1 in Newton, 1 in Marshall, all closed in the last 7 years. The worst part, if you can see it, look at the far right column. That's the current status of what is happening at those closed golf courses. Every single one of them is vacant, abandoned, overgrown, and there is nothing happening. It's also interesting to note that no new golf courses have opened in the past 10 years, possibly longer. Wait, the reason I say possibly longer, I didn't bother to look back further, because these trends tend to tell me, why would anybody open? I would ask at this time that the image, the demonstrative exhibit, be made a part of the record of the proceedings. Based on these facts, there is a serious threat that without alternative plan to reinvent the use of Briarleaf, it will be added to that list. It'll be number 10. Fortunately, tonight, we are here to offer such a plan to reinvent that property into a viable residential community of single-family homes that will keep the property off the vacant golf list, while at the same time helping fill in the already identified gaps in LaPorte's housing needs. Mr. Cook, I referred to some of the housing studies that have been done on LaPorte to identify what the problem is, what the recommendations are, how do we start fixing the gap in the shortfall of houses to house people in this community. One of those was the HFL report. I want to just, the report's in the whole report's in the record and you can look at it. I want to point out some things, some of the issues identified in those reports, and here they are. 79% of LaPorte's housing stock was constructed prior to 1980. LaPorte housing costs have become inflated in recent years, largely due to underproduction of new housing, and the factors that lead to that include few large-scale development-ready sites being available in the city. Few single-family home builders are constructing on a speculation basis. They're building custom homes under a contract with a property owner in advance. Other key points from the home studies. More affluent households are occupying housing that would be affordable to lower income levels, which applies downward pressure on the housing market. Also identified in the housing report. Older homeowners are staying in their homes longer because there are few options for downsizing, further applying downward pressure on the market. And one more point I want to make from the housing reports and the studies that have been done. There is a constrained supply of single-family homes for moderate income buyers who must compete for limited housing options. That's a launching pad to start learning about the Lennar project and why Lennar believes it can help keep Briarleaf off the vacant list and also help starting to fill some of the gap that these housing study reports have identified LaPorte desperately needs. Tonight, Lennar is requesting a favorable recommendation from this Plan Commission to rezone the Briarleaf property from R1B to R1D. That'll be explained in more detail by Mr. Clevin. But I'd like to start with an overall project summary, and then Mr. Clevin can fill in more details. Lennar is the second largest nationwide publicly traded home builder. Lennar is active in over 30 states and last year built over 80,000 homes across the United States. Lennar is an equal housing home builder. It provides homes for all and targets all buying sectors, including but not limited to first-time home buyers and those desiring a forever home. Lennar has built successful housing developments over the past 8 years in Northwest Indiana, and now, in partnership with the City of LaPorte, looks forward to continuing that success by entering the LaPorte housing market. Lennar plans to offer 2 home product lines, and before you put those up, I don't want attention focusing on, I want people to hear what these homes are about. Lennar, the first being the Core 30 home plans. These homes represent Lennar's most efficiently designed and constructed products. Materials and land costs have escalated in the last decade, even in the last year, as we've seen, resulting in home prices rising to levels out of reach for many. By leveraging Lennar's national buying power, it can reduce the material costs of various items, such as trusses, wall segments, cabinetry, and windows, just to name a few. While the home plans are diverse in design, they utilize the same truss packages, wall segments, windows, and other items. This economy of scale allows Lennar to offer a wide range of floor plans at a more reasonable price than many home builders can do, simply because of that national buying power. The Core 30 homes all include 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms, and on slab. They range from 1,137 to 2,100 square feet. The core homes are typically designed on smaller lots to provide lower maintenance costs to homeowners and lower utility bills. This allows Lennar to offer townhome price points, yet still provide a single-family home with a yard for the kids to play in. The second product line is the Horizon Home Plan. These are traditionally designed homes that appear throughout communities in Northwest Indiana. The Horizon homes include 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms, and full basements. Horizon homes range from 1,400 to 2,600 square feet. Horizon homes can be seen by visiting the Aylesworth subdivision in Winfield, Indiana, and the Iron Gate subdivision in Valparaiso, Indiana, where you can see a finished lived-in product. The 2 product lines of homes are designed to efficiently address the housing attainability challenges faced by many across this nation, while also targeting many different buyer segments in the LaPorte housing market. At this time, if we could show the slides of the homes, and feel free to scroll through them. Those that are scrollable, feel free to scroll through them. Maybe go just a little bit slower to give people a chance to. Thank you. get through the Horizon homes yet? There we go. There's some more. You'll have to scroll down on those. Go. There's 5 pages there on 2. Great, thank you. All of those images were part of the application packet, so they're already of record, but I'd just like to make note of that, Mr. Heinold. At this time, we also want to show a video of the finished products, and they're representative of. They don't show the entire subdivision. What we're going to show is a video now of some of the homes in Aylesworth and Winfield and Iron Gate and Valparaiso. So if you could please play that video. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to submit a digital thumb drive of that video into the record of this hearing. If you could put up the site plan for me now? Thank you. That site plan is a part of the application packet, so part of the record, which I'd like to make note of. I just want to give a few more big-picture details, and then Todd Clevin, Vice President of Land for Lennar, who really knows these projects and these developments, can come up and fill in a lot of the details. So the big-picture details here. The plan is, the plan on this site plan is for 269 homes. There are 11 proposed named roads with approximately 13,085 lineal feet of roadways. Lennar is currently exploring various alternatives for the clubhouse that sits on the property, but no decision has been made. Hear me clearly. No decision has been made on the clubhouse. For water retention, Lennar proposes to construct 4 additional basins, leaving the one existing basin and also leaving the current wetland areas undisturbed. The development will include sidewalks and green space park areas as set forth on the site plan. At this time, Todd Clevin will come and speak to you, tell you a little bit more about Lennar, who they are, how their process works, this development, and why they want to come to LaPorte.
Thank you, Bill. Good evening. For the record, my name is Todd Clevin, last name spelled K-L-E, V as in Victor, E-N. I am the Vice President of Land for Lennar Homes out of our Schaumburg, Illinois office. I personally reside in Lake County, Indiana, and was born and raised in Crown Point. My address is 250 East 123rd Place, and our office address is 1700 East Gulf Road, Suite 11, Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you very much, Bill, for your time, and thank you, more importantly, for your time. I understand that these projects that come before you can be very controversial, as well as I'd like to thank the members of the audience so they can understand, and we like to be transparent. I am entering my 31st year of this industry. I started off as a land surveyor and civil engineer, very well versed in the entire process of taking a raw piece of land and turning it into a community. I actually take great pride when I see videos such as the one that we just saw. Personally, when you take a bean field or a cornfield, or in this situation, a soon dilapidated golf course, and you see families in the yard congregating and you see children getting on the bus, that's why I'm in this industry. It's nothing more than that. We all have to pick some sort of a field of work, and I'm very proud with the one that I chose. I do understand the petition in front of you this evening is a sad movie to watch. Bill did a very good job explaining that we did not come and knock on this door and suggest that they close the golf course. Once we learned that it was closing regardless, that's when I gave our team permission to pursue the acquisition. I would never want to come in here and disrupt something like this with surrounding homes in this situation. So what you have in front of you, and I must commend your staff, very, very good to work with, and anytime that we have that spirit of cooperation, it just gets me that much more excited to think down the road of not only this one, but where's the next one? How can we help the city of LaPorte grow and stay vibrant? Bill also indicated that a municipality must grow in order to stay successful. You do not have to drive too far from LaPorte to find communities that did go through that unfortunate time. I've always said that in my entire career. Once a community stops to grow, the existing homeowners take on that tax burden. It's no different than living on a fixed income and seeing the inflation go up. It's the same thing with the tax base. This particular community that you have in front of you, there was a point of correction. It's actually 296 homes, not 269. With your staff, this is probably the 3rd or 4th concept plan that we have in front of you. They've worked very closely with us, offering their advice, their suggestions, and we welcomed all of those. And we also incorporated those onto the plan that's in front of you tonight. A little history about Lennar. I've been with them now going on 6 years. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for 31 years. Spent the majority of my career with a developer that was based in Crown Point, and we pretty much focused on Lake County, Indiana. I can remember back to when I wore a much younger man's clothes, hearing LaPorte, Indiana. When are we going to go to LaPorte? I also heard, when are we going to go to Cedar Lake? When are we going to go to Lowell? Well, I've always been fortunate to be with the leaders of this industry where I can honestly say I was one of the first ones to go to Cedar Lake, Indiana. I was one of the first ones to go to Lowell, one of the first ones to go to Winfield, and I think I'm probably one of the first ones now to come at this level, this scale, to LaPorte, and I'm very proud of that. I only share that information not to wave a resume in front of you, but just to show you my commitment and my personal attachment to these communities. I'm sure everybody in here is very familiar with Cedar Lake. We entered Cedar Lake in 2004, and look where it's at today. Winfield, I think their population has grown maybe by 40% just in the last 5 years due to a Lennar community. Lennar is a nationwide home builder producing over 80,000 homes a year, running out of 40 different divisions. We do report to the Schaumburg division. Everybody on my staff, Luke Fricky and Andre, we are all Lake County, Indiana residents, more so Crown Point, Indiana. Madeline, who's in the room, is our engineer out of Illinois. We prefer to use Mackey Consultants. They understand the Lennar product. They understand the Lennar vision. We bring them to pretty much every community that we do. Along with that, going back to the site plan, we're in front of you this evening just for a zone change. We have got very detailed as much as we can, and we're here to answer as many detailed questions as we can, but as Bill indicated, we're just here for the rezone. The decision that is in front of you this evening, is this a concept plan that the city of LaPorte would be willing to welcome? In other words, it's the housing product, it's the density, and it's the vision. Once we receive that favorable recommendation that we're seeking, we would then be in front of the city council to actually bring that zoning to fruition, and then we'll actually start sharpening that pencil, release Madeline, and that's when she'll start really hitting the details, meeting your design criteria, so on and so forth. So the decision that's in front of you this evening is the actual rezone going from R1B to R1D. Now, one might ask, why do you need R1D? It's all about the demographic. It's all about the household income. LaPorte's current demographics do not support $600,000 houses. They do not support $500,000 houses. It's very difficult for a nationwide home builder to come in and seek the pace that we need to seek. So we determine the buyer segment. With the interest rates where they are today, a $400,000 home requires over $125,000 a year in income. I want to repeat that. A $400,000 home requires over $125,000 a year in income. We all know, we all have friends, we all have an idea what they make. There's not a lot out there making $125,000 a year. So how do we, as a national home builder, hit the pace that we need to hit and target the buyer that can afford those homes? We study that very closely. Basically, with those demographics, this is really screaming for multifamily. We heard from your staff, if you bring multifamily, we're not going to support it. So we decided to bring our core product in, which is basically, we like to refer to it as detached townhomes. So each one will have its own individual home site. Keep in mind, our townhomes reside on a 25-foot wide home site. So these, we're asking for 45 and 61 feet in width. Our density is still, I think, less than 2.2 units per acre. The reason for that is we'd like to provide the open space and the amenities. That's one thing that Lennar is very well known for. This community will have walking paths. It'll have 2 large parks. It will have the 4 ponds that Bill alluded to, and that equates to over 43% of open space. So if you were more of a pickup truck developer and didn't have the means and the methods like Lennar has to come in and put the amenities in, I like to use the term, they come in and cookie cut it with those 80-foot wide home sites, so you would have wider home sites, but the density would be about the same, if not more, because they're not going to have the amenities that we're putting in here. My personal amenity that I'm going to try my best to retain is when you pull in on Tiffany Woods, that long par 5 hole that is along County Road 39, I'm going to try to retain the north portion of that and turn that into a putting green and a chipping area, one of the amenities for these home buyers, as well as preserve the legacy of the current property owners, just to carry that image on. If you notice, this site plan has 2 different colors on the home sites. I'm going to refer to them as a dark tan and a light tan. Originally, when we came into your staff at a staff level, we proposed all one product. It was all going to be the light tan. And that's when the staff said, is there a way we can take into consideration the existing homes that have had a golf course in their rear yards for so many years? We went back, we studied the numbers, and we decided that we could bring a second product in. Those are the larger homes, so the existing homes will actually back up to the larger homes and not the smaller core product. And I apologize, I've got to look at my notes here. I've got a lot of communities in my mind right now, but the core product is being proposed starting at $356 and going all the way up to $393,000. So again, that core product, that detached townhome, as I like to call it, will range from $356,000 to $393,000. And the Horizon will start about $410 and could go all the way up to $480,000, depending on the options and the elevation that is selected at the time as we panel the homes out. The homes were shown to you on the screen. Those are the homes that are proposed out here. We are an inventory builder. What does that mean? It's a fancy term for a spec builder. About 99% of our homes are inventory. It's no different than pulling on a car lot and choosing the home that you like. We will do dirt sales. This current economy does not really have a market deep enough to sit back and do a bunch of dirt sales because it's just not there. It's the fact that the United States is so short on inventory, when we build them, they're pretty much sold. Why are we successful with that and the average builder is not? You hear about interest rates. One reason why I'm very proud to work for Lennar is when the interest rates ticked up, the executives who I speak to about quarterly, we were all a deer in headlights. Those of us that went through the recession, we thought, is this the next one? What is happening here? Immediately the CEO said, we are not pulling the reins in. We're going to build through it, and we're going to figure out a way to adjust our product where we need to adjust it and continue to make these homes attainable for the buyer with the current monthly payment that they can afford. It was a very difficult thing to watch because I remember one house selling for a certain amount, and a week later, the house across the street sold for about 6 figures less, and I could not believe it. But Lennar said, keep doing it, let's figure it out. How are we figuring it out? We figured it out while we adjusted our product. We started going nationwide to buy our materials. We found ways that we can pull back some of the costs and continue to build through it. Some of the other nationwide builders are actually pulling the reins in and pumping the brakes. We're going to continue to provide that home and meet that American dream for that large buying pool that we have across the country. A community like this with 296 homes, we're anticipating in a municipality such as Porte that new construction is somewhat new to, we're going to go ahead and underwrite this deal at 2 per month. So that would be 2 core products that we plan on selling per month and 2 of the Horizon products that we plan on selling per month. That math equals about a 6-year project. We will come in here and we will plat this subdivision all in one large phase. Whether it's 1 or 2, it'll be completely designed and fully engineered all at once. If we do plat it in 2 phases, we will post a bond for that entire phase. Some of your smaller developers will only put in 10 home sites. And if the market conditions change, the municipality is sitting there with a bond only for those 10 home sites. You will have a bond in hand to cover the entire area that is platted. What does that mean for the municipality? If for some reason the developer were to fail or walk, you have all of those funds in hands that you could pick that up and continue and build this out and finish out the community. It's a very nice thing that Lennar is able to do compared to your smaller developers that cannot bond for the performance at that level. This community, I think, will have a assessed value of roughly $118 million, which would produce about $1.5 million a year in tax revenue, and that's figured on about a 1% tax base. And also, it will produce about $1.8 million in building fee, permit fees, and tap fees. Again, excuse me, my throat's awfully dry here. I'm going to grab some water. I do feel for the surrounding neighbors that for many years looked in their backyards and saw a golf course. It's unfortunate, but we're going to do our best to be a good neighbor if you support us and we do come here and bring this to fruition. As you can look at around all the tan home sites, the darker tan, we are proposing a landscape buffer. And that buffer will meander anywhere from 10 to 20, some places it'll be 50 feet. And that'll consist of berming, small berming, topography changes, vegetation, anything that we can do to help screen that. You can also see where we took in consideration of the large home site to the south that is on County Road West 300 North by placing the detention on both sides and trying to buffer the home sites that do back up to that homeowner's property. The ones on the east, I think it was, when did we have that meeting, Luke? October 20th. The staff helped us contact some of the adjacent property owners. We did meet in the clubhouse just to feel them out, ask if they had any specific questions or any direction or any vision that they could offer us. And I thought that was a very successful meeting. Well, we took some of their feedback, and it's probably one of the 5th renderings that we produced. I did not seek any or receive any horrible pushback. It seemed that they somewhat welcomed it. But subsequently to that, I have heard that there are some concerned neighbors. Again, we're not here to strong-arm anybody. We're here to cooperate. We're here to help the community thrive. And if it wasn't for your studies and your reports that you put out there in the press, we wouldn't even have looked at LaPorte. Kind of wish I was here 3 years ago, but I think the stars have aligned, and now's the time to move forward and put our flag in the ground in LaPorte. So with that, I will open up to any questions that you may have. I don't know if we have anybody else speaking. Okay. Bill did speak to the clubhouse. That clubhouse is in a condition, with being a public developer and not a private, it's a little difficult for us to work outside of the box and really bring that clubhouse into the concept plan and continue to let it be a restaurant. We are entertaining other options for that. It is a very difficult task for us, but again, we're just here for the rezone and seeking a favorable recommendation to the or to the city council, and all those other details will come into a deeper play in the future as we're in front of you for our approvals for the primary plat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Plan Commission?
Not quite done yet, Mr.
Okay.
Jackson. Yep.
All right,
Mr. Clevin will definitely be available for questions later from
okay.
anyone on the commission as well as the public. 2 more areas I want to talk about before we get to that point. And that is the issue of, does it have to be residential? Could it not be something else? As well as the concern that Mr. Clevin shared, that Lennar is always sensitive to, how does this impact surrounding community? How does it impact the surrounding properties? Let's first explore what else could go in there. Under current zoning, current R1B zoning, these are some of the permitted uses as of right now. Agricultural, including confined animal feeding operations under section 14.02A of the ordinance. Keeping horses and other livestock such as cattle, swine, goats, sheep, chickens under 14.02C of the ordinance. Under 14.02E, a permitted use as of right now is a slaughterhouse. Libraries can go in, schools can go in, government buildings could go in, a government complex, entire development area could go in under the existing zoning. Under section 14.15 of the existing zoning ordinance, transmission lines for gas, oil, and electricity can be erected. And permitted as of right now under existing zoning under 14.02A of the ordinance, and subject to some restrictions on how it's built, manufactured housing is a permitted use right now. These are just some, there's more. These are some of the examples of currently permitted uses that could be developed on this site without need for any variance, special exception use, or permission from the city. It seems clear that none of these would be as consistent with the neighborhood as would a residential development. Let's also consider this. A potential contract buyer, such as Lennar is right now, could come in and attempt to rezone to M1, which would be consistent with the property immediately west of Briarleaf and just a short distance on the other side of Highway 39. While I suspect such an effort would be met with extreme resistance, not only from the community, but this city government, for only a couple $100, such a petition could be filed and a reasonable argument could at least be advanced due to the extreme proximity of the current M1 property designation on the other side of 39, which we all know has significant industrial use right now. I really don't offer these alternatives as a threat, nor does Briarleaf ownership wish to see that occur. I only offer these alternatives because they are in the realm of possibility, especially those non-residential R1B permitted uses that would require no city authorization or approval. Finally, let's discuss the impact on surrounding properties. You saw the video earlier of the Iron Gate development in Valparaiso. Lennar sought and obtained variances over in Valpo to build Iron Gate. And property owners understandably came and expressed concern at the meeting about the development of Iron Gate, one of which is, how is this going to impact the property we currently own? The Porter County BZA approved Lennar's request for lot width variances and to construct the Iron Gate subdivision in the northwest corner of the county in Valparaiso, Indiana in August 2021. The Plan Commission approved the plat in January 2022. The first homes were built in 2023 with a substantial number of homes constructed in 2024. The Brigada Hills subdivision is contiguous and to the east of the Iron Gate subdivision. As of 2025, these neighboring homes in Brigada Hills have an average assessed value of $1.068 million. We analyzed the property assessment data from homes surrounding Lennar's Iron Gate subdivision, which began just a few short years ago. If you look at this chart, you'll see in 2021 is when Lennar first started seeking the entitlements and the approvals to build out Iron Gate. You can see on the left are the addresses of the contiguous property homes in Brigada. You can see what the values were in 2021. Down towards the bottom, some had not yet been built. In 2022, you can see what the assessed property values were, all of which increased from 2021.
There's a lot of these to agenda item 12.
With an average price increase of about $4,000 to $5,000. In 2023, when the first Iron Gate homes were built, the average assessed value of Brigada homes contiguous next to Iron Gate increased to $806,000. In 2024, the year that Iron Gate was substantially built out, the property values increased from $806,000 to $883,000. And strikingly, after the majority of Iron Gate was built out in 2024, a staggering increase from 2024 to 2025, average assessed value in Brigada contiguous properties went from $883,000 to $1.068 million. If you could show the next screen, please, with the percentage increases. Between 20, yeah, thank you. You can see the increases on the bottom. Prior to Iron Gate even starting, I think we're missing 2021 there. There was somehow 21 got cut off on there. I don't know how that happened, but nonetheless, from 2021, you see the 6.24%. That is the percentage increase in assessed property value from 21 to 22. From 22 to 23, that jumped up to an 11.13% increase in assessed property value. In the year of major construction of Iron Gate, right next to these properties, assessed property values increased by 9.5%. And you can see what happened. After Iron Gate was substantially built out, the contiguous properties in Brigada showed a 21.04% average assessed value property increase. Would you like to make record of both of those? out of the properties analyzed, the smallest increase of any single home in Brigada next door to Iron Gate was slightly over a 19% increase. This is not just theory. This is fact based on actual data collected from the Porter County government. Admittedly, many factors contribute to increased home value. We've seen that. I'm not going to stand here and tell you Lennar did this. We've all seen property value price and pricing increase. So many factors contribute to that. But what this data clearly and unequivocally demonstrates is that high-quality, professionally engineered residential development has a positive impact on nearby property, not a negative one. Because on those numbers, we don't know what impact the Lennar development may have had in increasing those numbers, but we know this. Lennar development did not decrease the value of those properties. To support those numbers, not just be me saying that they're real, I've got copies of all the assessed values of every single Brigada property from 21 through 25. And I'd like to make those of record to support what I just discussed. So I'm a lawyer. Todd is a real estate developer. Neither one of us are real estate professionals when it comes to the real estate market, right? That's not our gig. It's not our lane. I definitely try to stay in my lane, particularly in the last several years. So it's important to get a feel for, okay, this is what happened in Valpo, right? That's undisputable. The numbers are the numbers. That's undisputable what happened in Valpo. That the impact, at least on a financial basis, is pretty positive, or at least certainly not negative. But it's important that you have an opportunity to hear about what's happening in this market. What are the needs in this market? What is marketable in the LaPorte market? How will, and how historically in the LaPorte market has new development, whether it's large scale or small scale, how has it impacted surrounding property? I'm going to, in a minute here, call up Mike Libertor to address these issues with you. Mike has 34 years as a real estate professional in the LaPorte community. He has experience in both residential and commercial. He will speak to the need for a product like Lennar is proposing, and he will speak to the marketability of those homes based on his own personal and professional experience. He will offer experienced input on how new housing development has historically impacted surrounding properties throughout our community. And he can also offer an experienced opinion on the impact of surrounding property values when neighboring property is abandoned. And what I mean by that is, if Briarleaf becomes number 10 on that vacant golf course list that I showed you earlier, Mike can speak as a real estate professional of how that can impact properties. With that, I would call up Mike Libertor.
Thank you. Mike Libertor, broker with MTM Realty, Waverly Road, LaPorte, Indiana. Good to see you all again. First time I was here, I believe, was '98 when we were doing Briar Crossing and trying to bring a developer in from out of the area to build the Briar Crossing townhomes, which most of you are probably familiar with. I think we've built 42 of them there and have only space for about 10 left. So question is, why am I here? Is it because I have 34 years worth of real estate, residential, and commercial experience? Is it because I've sold over 1,000 properties in LaPorte? Is it because I've been named by Wall Street Journal as one of the top 1% of brokers in America 7 times? Is it because I used to be a golf professional and a professional golfer and am familiar with the golf side aspect of this? It's none of those really. I'm here for LaPorte, for my family, for my friends, and for my clients. And I want to speak to that And those of you that know me know I can probably bring you facts and stuff till about 9 o'clock tonight, but I'll try to make it a little more brief than that. So if we look at this particular development, what I've lost more clients to, and LaPorte's lost more clients to since I've been doing this, since 1991, is people saying, you don't have any new spec houses for me to look at? You don't have any new construction for me to look at? Well, in the same manner, I would like to thank right now families like the Ficuses, Pressel, Mark Hill, Tuhalski, for all that they've done for this community over the time and continue to do. But they are not a major developer like this, and especially the way the market works now, somebody who can build spec homes and have them ready for buyers who are ready to put their name on a contract right now. We've had a shortage of that as long as I've been doing this. If I could go back to our developments, since I've been doing this, we first start, if we go back to Regency, which are condos, most of you know where Regency's at, Ficus Development. First three were done, all cash deals. Fourth person came along and needed a loan, and Bill Ficus comes to me and he goes, how in the world do we get a loan on this? Nobody in LaPorte knows how to do a loan on a condo. Well, as you know now, Regency is one of the most desired places for people to live that are looking for condos. Usually has a waiting list. The increase in price by that demand is self-explanatory. They sell for 2.5 to 3 times what they originally were built for. Nowak subdivision, Meadowview Estates, most of you know it as Nowak subdivision, was built started about 10 years after that. Nowak subdivision was built out quickly, filled up quickly, brought up the values of Glendale subdivision next to it because Glendale was a larger lot. Nowak subdivision was built with the concept of making the lot smaller. And so those people that wanted to live down in that area but couldn't get into Nowak or wanted the larger lot would go into Glendale, so it helped increase the values there. Then we had Lure Park Estates across from Kingsbury School. It sat there for a little while. We didn't have much development. Then a larger builder came in, purchased 40 lots. There's been 38 new homes put up there in the last 24 months and sold. So it's amazing to see what happens when somebody can build the spec homes. We have the buyers for it. We are not a local market anymore, and the only political thing I'll say is as long as the state to the west of us keeps making bills like they do, we're going to keep getting more people moving into our town. It's inevitable. I've had 22 Illinois clients in the last 24 months buy houses. So they're going to continue to move this way. Let's see. So I pulled today homes that are priced in LaPorte between $300,000 and $500,000. There's 27 on the market right now, and if you go for $500,000 to $1 million, there's 14 on the market. The problem is we have about 5 times as many buyers normally in the 300 to 500 range as we do 500 to $1 million. So we have somewhere such as Legacy, which is, you know, great, the Fedorchaks and the builders we've had out there that are producing those properties for us. Most of you probably would be amazed to realize it was 20 years ago they started that, and they still have vacant lots. So we do have a need for the high-end homes. Also, 80% of those homes are purchased with cash, whereas we're looking at needing lenders involved for the majority of our buyers in our area. And that's what's going to happen in a development like this. They're going to work with local lenders, which is going to help the local lenders as well when it comes to financing some of these purchases. I've been involved personally with a couple of deals in the last 12 months. Out in Legacy, one started at $1.475 million and ended up selling at $1.35. The other started at $895 and sold for $640. The luxury market is definitely taking a hit locally when it comes to the pricing of what sales actually do. Our market between 300 and 500 is selling a little bit higher than the traditional 5-year average of 95.2% original listing price. So what we'll see here is we're right into another range that we're offering that homes sell real close to what they're actually asking for, or right at that listing price or asking price by the builder. The development that I mentioned, with Prior Crossing, even though that is a townhome duplex. We're in a similar price range. Our last two that just closed sold for $357 and $367. They had just a little bit more square footage than the smaller unit that you see here. And we've lost 9 sales this year because they are not large enough to be spec builders, and the people needed to be able to move in 45 days or less. If we had spec homes, we would have had 9 more people buying in LaPorte in that price range at that time. So am I going to stand here and tell you that I can guarantee that this development will make the values of the properties contiguous around it increase? No, I'd be lying if I ever told you that. I can't guarantee anything for anybody, whether it's this development, on the lake, anywhere. You just can't guarantee anybody that the prices are gonna go up. Can I say to you, based on all of my experience and what I've seen with other properties, that this is gonna cause the values to decrease of homes around? I can say with confidence that I would be very, very surprised if there was any depreciation in them as compared to being some appreciation in them. Newer homes, consistent value, a better development, especially compared to the alternative. Mr. Nelson, showed you all of the courses that have closed. I've sold a home or a property in every one of those counties that was mentioned. I know that some of the biggest problems that come after they go vacant, you start to get rodent problems. When there's an overgrowth, the animals start to show up, and we have new residents, and they're not ones that pay taxes or anything. They just come and start crawling in your house. And so you do not want this property to go vacant. I did talk this week to 4 of the people that I have sold properties to that have been notified here, a couple in the villas, the others in Shamar Hills. And 3 of the 4 responded in that, well, you know, when you live on a golf course, you don't know that it's going to be a golf course forever. So they were open to the idea. All 3 reiterated they don't want to see it just become overgrown. The 4th had different feelings for the project, which, you know, is going to be normal. There's never going to be 100% the same for any project. So I do want to say that from my experience with dealing with homes that are near, vacant lots that are near, you will see depreciation if this just becomes what they say going back to seed, the golf course. And you will not see the golf course redone, because once the course goes vacant, the expense of trying to revitalize a golf course is way more than even developing a new one. It becomes a hazard because you don't know if any of the things still work. Ironically, we were within probably 48 hours of not being here. As in 1994, 2 friends of mine were 48 hours from closing on buying Briarleaf Golf Course ourselves. And so either we would have had it still open, or we would have closed a lot earlier than the current ones if we found that the market meant we were having to infuse our own money to keep it going, and probably would have been petitioning with my real estate and one of my other friends' real estate to turn this into a housing project back at that time as well. So it's kind of ironic that this is full circle from 1994, that I'm here to speak about the aspects of what an opportunity this is for this town, based on my real estate thoughts, that this development is something that is very, very strongly needed in the LaPorte area. We have quite the need for exactly the price range, exactly the product, and the addition of something with walking trails, green spaces is something we do not have at this current time, that we lose out buyers to other cities that are within 50 miles of here because they have some similar developments to this. Let's see here. I do have statistics, so when the question and answer time comes up, if anybody wants specifics, I do have specifics of several of the neighborhoods and many of the sales, and so I can give you exact responses with those. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, it's time to wrap this up, and that means the boring part, and that's the legal standards. The request is a zoning change from R1B to R1D, and these are the legal standards. And what I would ask you to keep in mind is the information and basically evidence that has been presented to you tonight on these standards. First standard is a description of how the zone map change is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The requested zoning change is in fact consistent with the comprehensive plan and is compatible with the LaPorte County Land Development Plan's strategic goals and objectives. That plan encourages expansion of residential uses near major highways and near cities, where residents have easy access to public and private services. Although previously designated a golf course, residential growth is a recognized and planned use for the area, evidenced by its current R1B zoning. The large size and location of the property also lend itself well to easy conversion from recreational use to housing, as a conversion requires no significant demolition of structures, as few structures exist. The site is largely surrounded by existing residential development already and is well suited for this residential conversion. It will create and continue a compatible land use pattern consistent with the existing residential nature. Number 2, standard, assurance that the requested zoning change will not have a negative impact on the current conditions and character of current structures and uses in the district. The current condition of this area is primarily residential, except the M1 zoning to the west. The current structures are residential homes to the north, east, and south, with industrial use to the west in the M1 area. However, most would agree with me that this is primarily viewed as a residential area. This proposed development is in fact compatible with and continues that residential nature while introducing new code-compliant homes that will be professionally designed, architecturally consistent, owner-occupied, and professionally built by a nationally recognized builder with a proven track record of successful home developments throughout the nation and here in Northwest Indiana. These will be the newest homes in the area. It is safe to predict from the information and evidence presented this evening that this residential development will have a positive impact on current conditions and structures in the district. Number 3, a description of how the requested zoning change will result in the most desirable use to which the land in each district is adapted. This property's extensive acreage and historic design as a sprawling golf course makes it uniquely suited for residential development, particularly where residential surrounding land uses already exist. Due to the property having been a golf course, the vast open expanses of land lend itself to an easy conversion for residential development. Given economic failure of the golf operation and recent decline in the golf industry overall, as established here this evening, with the facts presented about closing of many Northwest Indiana golf courses in a short time span, coupled with the strong local demand for housing, as demonstrated in more than one LaPorte housing study, the proposed rezoning represents the most desirable, efficient, and productive use of the land. We believe what has been presented here this evening makes clear that this requested zoning change will result in the most desirable use for which this land is suited and in this district. Number 4, assurance that the requested zoning change will not negatively affect the property values throughout the city of LaPorte. Note, the standard is not the neighbors, the standard is the city of LaPorte. But let's face it, let's talk about the neighbors. They're the ones here tonight. As the current owner has made clear, Briarleaf Golf Course is permanently closed. As such, one of 3 things will occur with this property. It will be developed as commercial use or some sort of agricultural use as permitted under current zoning without needing approval from local government. 2, it'll be developed as residential use. Or 3, it'll lay abandoned, overgrown, and unsightly. I would posit, and I would think most would agree with Mr. Liberatore, that commercial or agricultural development would likely have a negative impact on surrounding residential property values, particularly those in close proximity. I would also posit that 116 acres of abandoned, non-maintained open expanse of what used to be a golf course would, in fact, negatively impact property values. It seems logical and evident, based on everything presented into the record this evening, that residential development of the property is the most consistent with the residential nature of the surrounding area and the new code-compliant single-family homes with yards, homes constructed in a professionally developed community with sidewalks, green space parks, and an HOA to help maintain high standards in the development long-term, this proposed development will maintain and quite likely improve property values, as demonstrated by the Iron Gate development, which proved to be true, and Mr. Liberatore's stated experience tonight of seeing new development increase property values nearby. Last standard, hang on. Description of how the requested zoning change promotes responsible development and growth throughout the city. The rezoning promotes responsible growth and development by utilizing existing and previously planned for municipal infrastructure, preserving wetlands, adding significant new stormwater management capacity, and providing diverse housing options that meet modern affordability needs as already established by existing housing studies that have identified housing gaps in LaPorte. When I say previously planned for, we're all aware that during the annexation, there already are plans in place to improve water supply and various municipal infrastructure out there. This proposal is far more sustainable development pattern and plan than allowing a large obsolete recreational facility to remain vacant or succumb to already permitted uses under current zoning that could radically alter the nature of the surrounding residential community. Further, the requested zoning change promotes consistency with the comprehensive plan. This rezoning will create and continue a compatible land use with existing patterns for decades to come. Having met all the standards for this rezoning request, on behalf of Lennar Homes of Indiana LLC, I respectfully request issuance of a favorable recommendation to R1D. And we would all be pleased to answer any questions from the commission as well as the public. And there'll be a lot of people besides me maybe answering these, so I'll probably turn into an MC at this point.
We're gonna have a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, we'll listen to all the comments.
Great.
And then we'll bring you back up and try to address some of those comments and questions, and we'll bring up staff.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you heard, we're gonna do public comment next. It's 3 minutes. We'll try to give everyone a chance to talk who wants to talk, so it's 3 minutes. If you agree with the previous speaker, could you say, hey, I really agree with the previous speaker, and then sit down to give someone else so we can kind of keep it moving. If you haven't, well, if you want to speak, get your card in so we can call you up here and get you to speak. I'll give you a few minutes if you haven't got your card in to get cards in. And other than that, I think we're probably ready for the public hearing. You got,
Yeah, one last thing. Only comment is at the lectern. No additional commentary. Everyone's been extremely respectful tonight, and I would ask that that just continue. If people find that to be too much, then we will ask you to leave, okay?
all right, we'll open up the public hearing. I've got these in no particular order. Some of these are maybe for the BZA, and I don't realize they're for the BZA instead of the Plan Commission, so if you want to speak to BZA instead of here, just tell me and we'll skip on to the next one. Corrine and Eric Goodson, sorry.
Love being first.
Sorry.
I'm Corrine Goodson. I live at 3054 North Shamar Hills Drive. We didn't find out about this right away. I know you talk about, notifying contiguous property. We are not technically contiguous to the golf course. We have a backyard in between us. We're kind of at an angle. This is us right here. And my concern is that these trees are gonna go away. I know you've talked about aesthetics and, putting a berm in and making it more palatable. But my husband and I, actually went to some of the other subdivisions. We went to Iron Gate, we went to one in Portage, we went to Winfield, and are the lot sizes the same, or are they smaller in this subdivision than they are in Iron Gate?
Yeah,
So
we'll
get to
write
that
down your
later.
questions and then try to address them when the
Okay,
public comments.
because that's one of my concerns is why so many homes? It's not that I'm really so much against residential development there. You know, I realize something has to go in there, but why change the ordinances that are already there? Why do we need 300? Why isn't 200 enough? So, and then my other concern is the congestion, traffic. 39, I know we have an engineer who's looking at that too. 39 is not doing the best at handling traffic right now. I can tell you that from daily experience. And just adding to all that, and then 300, of course, is not made for that kind of traffic either. And so I'm concerned about that as well. I've had kids who've lived around Indianapolis in subdivisions where traffic backs up for miles trying to get home in rush hours because they build them off these little county roads, and I just don't want to see that happen. So,
Thank you. Okay, I'll ask Tom Conowitz to come up next. Still here? Tim, I'm sorry. I misread that. I'm sorry. Thank you. Could you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Tim Conowitz. I live at 3199 North Briarleaf Court. My concerns regarding the buffer zone, Exhibit A, I am urging the board to adopt buffer zone A as outlined in the site development provisions, Article 17, Table 1702, C2 heading, requirements for a buffer zone located in cities of LaPorte or Michigan City. Without this buffer zone, I will suffer the following, but not limited to road noise, as the main subdivision street adjacent to Progress Drive is within 130 feet of my property. Resident noise such as barking dogs, domestic disturbances, loud parties, and loud vehicle noise such as the special exhaust system on the cars today. Construction noise, excavation traffic, construction foul language from the construction workers, dust, dirt during the construction. This will certainly disrupt my daily life. And I'll have to incur expenses to incur to protect my property and my privacy. The covenants of the Villa of Briarleaf state no owner shall construct, erect, or allowed to construct or erection of any building, shed, or fence without being able to install a fence. That doesn't leave me much of a recourse. The buffer type A states 1 canopy tree, 3 evergreen trees per 40 linear feet of property line. Keep in mind, evergreen trees keep their needles year-round and offer a very effective visual barrier. Deciduous trees planted on newly established berm will take years to mature, delaying their ability to obstruct the view from 2-story homes. Deciduous trees also lose their effectiveness during the winter season. I am also asking that all mature trees bordering the villas of Briarleaf and the proposed linear subdivision be kept. Inconsistencies in property development plan, Exhibit B. During a community meeting held on October 20th, attended by approximately 30 representatives from Tiffany Woods, Sharma Hills, and the Villas of Briarleaf, as well as the city officials, including Tom Dermody, Lennar representatives, and LEAP Director Bert Cook, the following points were clarified. The core structures will be built on slabs and be primarily in the interior, Executive homes will be located adjacent to homes near Sharmar, Briarleaf condos, and Tiffany Woods, existing homes.
Sir, you run past your time. Can you kind of wind it up?
The basics of it, and I'm sorry for running past my time. The basics of it are, it's an intrusion on my privacy, having two-story homes in there. They have a direct view or sight line down into my living spaces. I'd like to have a 50-foot berm put in place as the city recommends. That way, we have a good size buffer between us and the new homes.
Thank you. James Sullivan is next. Oh, I noticed the Plasky's address. Are you here for this? Or- All right. Come on up.
I'm just curious if, when they go to build these homes, because more than likely it's probably gonna go through, do they use union or non-union contractors, and do you use local contractors, or do you bring in all out-of-state contractors to do the work? Because it would benefit us more if you use more local contractors and union contractors also, so I'm just kinda curious on that. If it does go through, I'd like to see that, that's one of the, pieces that need to happen, so to say. So,
Thank you.
my name's James Sullivan, I live on 4th with Pulaski, Laporte.
Got it. Thank you. Paul Skiwit. Sorry if I'm not getting your name quite.
Thank you very much. I'm Paul Skiat. I live at 3196 North Briarleaf Court. I live next to Mr. Conowitz, and I also live on the northern border of Briarleaf Court. I will meet with the southern border of Lennar Homes. I do want to reciprocate with Bert Cook. I have had the pleasure of working with Tom Dermody, Julie West, Craig Phillips, Bert. Very good listeners. The reason I bring that up is because the bleary and clear, glassy-eyed people that you see in the audience represent 39 North. 39 North is still assimilating annexation. Several months ago, they were told that we were going to be on the north side of Tiffany Woods, experiencing a brand-new residential development. We also found out that our beloved golf course is going to close, and now we have Lennar Homes to deal with. So I would say those folks are in a bit of shock and awe, and I would appreciate your consideration to just at least listen. I agree with the young lady that talked about the traffic on 39. I actually live on 39, so I know what's going on there, and there's going to be a huge issue if we don't have IDEM. I believe Mr. Nelson talked about that, also INDOT. We need those people right from the get-go to figure out how we're going to handle the traffic issues on 39. I also have one other question that came up. The parks that, the Lennar individual talked about that will be going in there, I believe since that property is in the city of LaPorte, I'd like to think that access could be gained to those parks by everybody from the villas of Briarleaf, Sharmar Hills, and Tiffany Woods, given that it's city property. I think that's it. Did I make my 3 minutes?
You did. Thank you. Thank you. Mark Reel. Is he available? There he is.
Mike Riley.
Riley, I'm sorry. I didn't know that's how your name was spelled.
I'm trying to throw you off. Mike Riley, 409 Sarah Lane, LaPorte. Just a couple comments related to this project and several projects like it and how they support workforce. So I want to just give a couple comments in regards to that. First of all, I'd like to thank all the board for volunteering to serve in your capacity as you are tonight. Listen and make decisions that positively impact our city and our community as a whole. So secondly, as part of my role with LEAP, I visit with local companies to gauge their interest in future investment, workforce needs, and their company's overall satisfaction with our city. Over the past several years, as workforce needs have changed dramatically from year to year, one thing has remained constant. The need for recruitment and employee retention remains high. And the underlying reason for this concern is the ability for those professional, higher-paying positions not having the ability to find housing options within the city of LaPorte and within our county. This has caused their employees to move, commute, or take options outside of our market, which we need to really take a focus on. Secondly, or lastly, the need to have future housing options for our young professional demographic. I'm a father of 2 kids who graduated from college, so I know this firsthand, is a key component to attracting talent in our area. If there are no housing developments with updated current amenities to attract not only professional job seekers, but those young professionals looking to find a place to raise a family and utilize our local establishments and attend our schools, then we are doing a disservice to our community by not planning now to address the needs of our future. So my hope is that you guys will consider this project and be for it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Taylor. Is Jeff here?
Good evening. Jeff Taylor, 3204 North Briar Leaf Court, part of the villas there. Appreciate the time. First of all, thank you for all your services to our community. What you guys do matters, and do appreciate that. Also want to thank Mr. Cook, Mr. Kelvin, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Libator for presenting. I absolutely recognize that we need to do something to continue to let our communities grow and to play a vital role for just not us, but for generations to come. At the same time, I do think that there are some things that are going to happen that are likely to reduce the value and cause some life of quality of life issues, I would say. Part of that is going to be the noise that's going to be included in 1,300 trips, I think is what was in the study. There's going to be significant noise. There's already decent noise. It is going to be tremendously more. And I think the noise pollution will be significant, light pollution, safety concerns around the road, which everyone has already stated. And I think that that makes a lot of sense as well. One thing I do want to call out, in what we were given in the attachment C notice for property owners, the description was saying that the lowest square footage was going to be 1,400 square foot. There's now a new design in there for 1,100 square foot. So that is inconsistent with one of the things that was stated in there that was saying, stating that. So just something to bring up. I think we need to make sure that's understood. That will significantly affect value as well. So those are the big things. I'm really worried about the noise pollution that I think is going to be happening, as well as 39 traffic. So that's it. Everything else I agree with the group.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's see. Kelly Mosier?
Okay, well, I agree with a lot that's been said, and I have real big concerns about quality of life issues as well. I have a little thing I'll turn in afterwards, but first of all, the homes that currently exist are mostly on 2-acre lots. It's a rural area, it's a quiet area. A lot of those houses are really upscale, and you're going to put affordable housing in there, a bunch of it. I see on the plans, I live at 300 North, the first house off of 39. You're going to dump a road right out at my house, where I already have a half a dozen people turning around in my driveway when there's no that much traffic on 300 North to begin with now. You add another road there, I'm not even going to be able to get to 39. It's going to be so much traffic right there at my house. The other thing is I do not see a plan for a landscape barrier. Right now, I look out. This is the view out my window now of my living room. And look, I'm right where all that affordable housing is going to be. This is the view from my driveway right now. So, you know, I mean, there's no plans for a landscape area and that road being there. There's gonna be, like you said, construction noise, followed by noise from a densely populated area, crime increase, traffic increase, garbage. The whole area is going to be significantly impacted by that dense amount of people. And then you put in that people, and you put in like this urban zoning type thing in, but we're not getting any of the benefits from it. It's not gonna be like there's gonna be a shopping center there, or, you know, things that are convenient to walk to that would make urban living desirable. None of that comes with it, just a bunch of housing. And I'll tell you, the developments you showed me really weren't a selling point. I mean, I don't wanna live in a cookie cutter neighborhood. You know, we've lived there for 40 years. I have a pond across my street where turtles and frogs and migrating birds live. And it looks like the pond's getting moved. At night I hear birds and frogs and turtles come across the street to lay their eggs. I mean, I just feel like the quality of my life is just gonna be destroyed, and I know I'm only one property, but I mean, that's our lifetime investment. That's our home. That's where we live. We're senior citizens, you know? I mean, and if you say the value is gonna increase, I can't see that. You're talking about the value of subdivisions put in on empty land. Well, yeah, you got empty land, and then, but you're talking like, my house was on a golf course. Now you're gonna have just cheap subdivision across the street. I mean, I'm just not happy. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Dave Ambers.
I promise I won't take as long as Mr. Nelson. May I approach?
Is that a shot at a fellow attorney?
Okay.
Thank you.
We're gonna find out real soon. Ooh.
I'm Dave Ambers. I'm an attorney with an office here in LaPorte at 601 State Street in LaPorte. As you know, I've been here before. I represent James Schaffner. Mr. Schaffner has the pleasure or displeasure of owning the property on 300 that is surrounded by briar leaf on 3 sides. I have some exhibits for you that I'll refer to throughout my quick comments, and I'm mainly going to address the legal requirements for a change of zoning under the statute in your ordinance, because I disagree with Mr. Nelson on that. This change in zoning is not consistent with the comprehensive plan. This property in the surrounding area is zoned R1B. To change it to R1D would abandon the comprehensive plan. You have set criteria in that plan for those districts, and switching to the R1D, you're moving this area of large expansive lots, as some of the people have referred to the areas. If you look at my first Exhibit A, R1D is the area around Sacred Heart Church. It is Scott Street, east of Rose, and a small part along Weller, where you have the older historic homes, the narrower lots. Article 401B states that R1B districts are established to include areas of moderate density, single-family residences, which is what is out there in that area now. This district may apply to outlying areas of incorporated cities with larger lot development. Perfect, leave it. Article 401D states that the R1D district is established to include urban walking neighborhoods with small lots. The intent is to maintain and enhance traditional walkable pedestrian-oriented neighborhoods and to provide for urban infill development that is a form of character consistent with historic established neighborhoods. R1D is only intended, and this is straight out of the ordinance, 4, incorporated areas of cities where all necessary utilities and community services are available to serve a higher density population. There is not sufficient water or sewer out there. I represent a client further up the line, up by Highway 20, and the City Board of Works, he put $300,000 into a sewer system that he can't connect to, that the City Board of Works tabled back in November after a $300,000 investment, and now he potentially loses tons of commercial activity. You've got the 400-unit apartment complex supposedly coming. Now this, I don't think that old 39 North system, unless you intend to replace it, is going to be sufficient, let alone the water, until we get the water tower. Number 2, to change to R1D will have a negative impact on the current conditions and character of the current structures and uses because the residential lots in the surrounding area are 150 to 200 feet wide. If we go down to, and if they get their variance, down to the 40-foot lots, they simply, you're tripling the density of what's
Mr. Ambers,
already there.
you've overrun your 3 minutes. Can you kind of?
I'm hurrying.
All right, thank you.
They want you to worry that this is gonna be an abandoned golf course. The present zoning allows R1B, just leave it where it is, don't go for the higher density. The use and value of the property is going to decline. You know, they put 3 retention ponds around Mr. Schaffner's property. That's definitely going to affect the value of his property, and looking out on the tan-colored homes on the left is going to be an issue for Mr. Schaffner. So I have my comments there. You have the rest of them. Just leave it R1B. They can still do a subdivision. The county can grow. But what's important is that we grow in an orderly and responsible manner, not jam everything into one location with that small lots and that much density. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark and Deb Durbin. They available?
In the 90s, the Granger grew about 8,000 people, which is what you guys are trying to do. In the 80s, they put a huge addition on Penn.
Please state your name and address, please.
Mark Durbin.
What's your
And,
address? What's your address, sir?
Pardon me?
What's your address?
3135 North Charmer Hills.
Thank you.
Cannot hear well.
In the 80s, they put a large, expensive addition on Penn because it wasn't big enough and it wasn't nearly nice enough.
Using our 3 minutes. You're using the 3 minutes.
What?
Has anybody from Lennar said they're the only city subdivision? Everybody around Lennar is county. So our drainage goes into the golf course. It is recorded, it is deeded. You cannot build berms up. You can't do anything. That's for the whole subdivision. So does Lennar know that? Were they answering questions? And when your people are coming to do soil boring, tell them not to go through our property. We are tired of them walking and trespassing. They are city, we are county. Follow the laws. Oh, we'd also like to put this up for the BZA. You can put what I put in for the record as far as what I handed out. Also, since people are doing both, that can be put in there showing we agree with the last attorney that Lennar's attorney was incorrect as far as changing that. And it shows exactly what it means. They are asking for houses behind ours, which will require over 400 feet. And everybody can see the map on the back. They don't even have that.
with our stuff, with the wetlands, they're way short. And you're gonna build houses on entire subdivisions where we already have deeded on there. We've already got it, and you're gonna build houses on top of our retention and our drainage. That's pretty not smart. If they wanna flood, we'll get them to flood. There are pictures on those posters that show what the wetlands versus our property lines look like. And it's one complete thing from the wetlands to our property lines. We don't mind. Well, you know, that's what you're gonna get. You can't change that topical. It's our drainage. And there is no evidence that Lennar has a hardship. Nothing.
You're
They
over on your
chose-
3 minutes. Can you
That's
wrap it up?
fine. Everybody can see what's in there. I would like that and the pictures to go around to everybody and that be admitted also.
Well, what I
Thank
was
you.
getting
You
to.
can't. He said we're done.
Thank you. Nick Ackerman, 405 Pulaski Street. Are you here to speak on the subject? And
This is for the BZA 11.
that's for BZA, okay. Mayor Dermody, it's the last one.
Good evening. I'd first like to share a story with you from the LaPorte Herald-Argus, and if you want a copy, I'll be glad to share it here. You can pass it around so everybody knows. Tuesday, December 2nd, 1986. The city council voted 5-2 Monday night to reject an offer from Dr. Peter and Charlene Kessling for 56 acres of land. This would have given the Kesslings a chance to develop townhomes, condominiums, and a shopping area on the south side of the city. It was rejected. And to some, this was the end of true housing growth before it even had a chance to begin. Fast forward 2023. The Health Foundation of LaPorte provided a study done by professionals that stated LaPorte is facing several housing challenges, including the need for 900 to 1,000 new market rate for sale units for moderate and higher income households. These should target a price point of under $400,000. These targets are unmet housing needs for existing residents in the city of LaPorte. Our community has not grown in nearly 30 years, and that does come with consequences. If every neighborhood says, "Not next to me," nothing is built anywhere. Fewer opportunities, our workforce gets pushed further away, and our children and seniors lose their chance to live here. Tonight, I am asking you to look at this proposal not as a threat, but a chance to shape a more sustainable future. We are not Valpo. We are not Crown Point. We are not Michigan City. We are LaPorte. And LaPorte residents say we need housing of all types. You are the first step in hope for our community's future. Let's send a message to our current residents and potential residents why LaPorte is the place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, since I have no more cards, I'll close the public hearing. David, do you have anything, a staff presentation? I've kept a list of some of the questions to answer. Maybe you want to address some of them.
I would like to just go through the staff analysis because most has already been said, if that's all right.
Yep.
I'll just read. Item number 5, zone map change 25-03. Petition is to rezone from the R1B single-family residential district to the R1D single-family residential district. Parcel, as you see, is outlined in red there. This process is what the zoning ordinance allows for, following a public hearing for rezoning by the Plan Commission, review and recommendation, and adoption later on by the City Common Council for legislative change. Just going through kind of the surrounding property, as you can see the zoning map on the property with the subject property outlined in red. You can see to the west of State Road 39 is M1 light industrial, pretty much all the way up, except for a portion just to the further north along the toll road that was rezoned to M2, which is heavy industrial district. The orange color is zoned R2A, which is more like townhouse residential. R1B is again the low single-family residential district that this property currently is. R3A is a low-rise multifamily district, and then the darker red color is B3 highway commercial. And then the rest of the property around that is actually in the county. So the purple line is the city limit boundary. So the proposed rezoning would provide additional residential development where it is possible to extend public utilities that is the most efficient use of land in minimizing the costs of public services. So staff finds that the proposed rezone from the R1B single-family residential district to the R1D district is appropriate for the surrounding area and generally compatible with the LaPorte County Land Development Plan strategic goals and objectives. The plan encourages the expansion of residential uses in planned urban expansion areas because of the proximity to major highways and public utility services. The plan also encourages the majority of new development to take place in and near existing cities and towns where residents will have easy access to a range of public and private services. So staff just find that the proposed rezoning from R1B district to the R1D district is compatible with the county-wide land development plan and the general area, and so staff recommends approval of the rezone request from the R1B single-family residential district to the R1D district as described in the attached legal description for the parcels of land. And I'll answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, David. Any questions from the Plan Commission members? There was water and sewer brought up. I see Tim back there, Tim Werner. Tim, could you address, I know water, we have a big project. Could you address, how are we going to accommodate the growth? Are we going to be ready? And discuss the sewer system a bit.
Good evening, I'm Tim Werner with the City of LaPorte Water Department. I think the first thing that I'll address is the upgrades that are currently in the process at the 39 North District there. So we're currently getting ready to put up 2 water towers, a new booster station, a new 16-inch feed line that will bring those fire flows, not only triple the flow, but the amount of time that we can sustain those flows. So a lot of that has already been engineered. We're going through the state revolving fund to receive the funds to do that. It's a $14.9 million upgrade. Let's see here. I do have a timeline. Maybe Roscoe can put up for me real quick. It kind of shows where we're at and where we're going with that whole project. Full build out of the project would be August, September of 27. And I know some of the houses will be going up before that. So we've moved our plan around to put the booster station in first. Right now, the current booster station that sits behind the VFW, it's got 3 pumps in it, 2 500-gallon-a-minute pumps, and then a fire pump that's 1,500 gallons a minute. If that fire pump was to come on, none of the other pumps run. So the highest GPM you can get out of that system, including the domestic use, right now is 1,500 GPM. So with the new booster station that will go in before this development, there'll be 3 pumps in there that are 3,000 gallons pump plus a fire pump. So all 3 of those pumps can run at the same time. So you're talking 3,000 gallons per minute at that time. Once we put up the 2 water towers, one will be right by the cemetery on Severs Road, and the other one will be up by just southwest of the toll road.
How large are the water towers?
500,000 gallons each. Those are the towers that you see in LaPorte right now. All 3 of the towers inside the town are 500,000 gallon towers. So what the towers do at that point, that's where you get your sustainability for fire flow. So instead of having a dead end system right now where you're only getting feed from one direction, that the towers will allow that water to come from both ways now. Once we hook onto, I guess I should back up a little. So what makes that a dead-end system is we have to separate it from LaPorte's, or we did when we sold 39 North Conservancy District water. So making the connection on Severs Road to Pine Lake Ave brings more water into the system to be used in that area. Right now there's one 12-inch feed that feeds the booster station and feeds that whole area. So we'll be bringing a 16-inch water main down Severs Road all the way over to the cemetery that will hook into that booster station and the tower there. That water will also be allowed to come into the city of LaPorte at that point, into the heart of the city. We've always had issues with high flow events out there. Whenever there's even fire testing, that water just screams down Pine Lake Ave, creates dirty water for businesses, hotels, and everything in that area. So this will solve all this problem before this build out is complete all the way. We'll be able to sustain the fire flow and the domestic usage for the development with
Quick
the 3.
question. What's the GPM on a 16-inch main and what pressure? So what's the GPM on a 16-inch main and what pressure will the water towers provide?
Well, the pressure and all that's going to be determined through the hydraulics. So right now we run about 60 to 55 pounds in the city. That will be a higher pressure zone out there. Right now it's at 75 pounds. So whenever you do I'd have to do the math for you to get the exact flow out of a 16-inch. But with the feed off of Pine Lake Ave and the new 16, plus that existing 12 I talked about.
I was just concerned that the M1 across the street has an event. Is there going to be enough flow for the houses that are there? You know, we don't want people to.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, we're doubling the GPM right off the bat with the booster station, and then with the other towers, that's when you get your
We are.
duration of being able to fight that fire. So we'll have like 3 hours of 3,000 to 5,000 gallons a minute, and then it would rely off the system pressure at that point.
So it sounds like we have plenty of water coming online and everything should be fine.
Yeah, like I said, the problem out there before was it being that dead-end system where everything was restricted through that single booster station. Now with the feed coming from the north and tied into Pine Lake Ave with a new booster station that has, each pump is double what the pumps were before. Like I said, there's 3 high service pumps in the current booster station. One's a fire pump, comes on full bore, 1,500 gallons a minute. That's when pressure drops below 40 pounds and it's calling for that water. The other 2 pumps I was talking about, the 500-gallon minute pumps that are in there now, they don't run at the same time. They run one here, one there, so upsizing those pumps to double each one of them, there'll be 3,000-gallon minute pumps plus a fire pump inside the new booster station that will go right in front of the tower on Severs Road.
Thank you.
We want to get to you want me to
Just
touch on the sewer
touch
real
on
quick?
sewer availability and capacity.
So I know Highway 39 does have the sewer capacity for the development. The Knoll lift station needs to be upgraded right at the Knoll complex right there. You got to remember, we took this system over from the 39 North Conservancy District. There was some bad decisions made when that system was put in, and that's water and wastewater's goal is to address those issues and make them better. So I think the other only issue with sewer would be the receiving sewer on Genesis. There's about 1,000 foot, that's only a 10-inch, and I think that's part of Jerry's plan or the wastewater's plan to address that through fees, system development fees, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good, thank you.
I saw Devin Hunsberger was here. Could you address how off-site water flowing onto the development off-site, are the city's requirements for that real quick?
Hi there. Devin Hunsberger. I'm with the City of LaPorte Stormwater Department. I know there were a couple of comments. First off, regarding the wetlands, I believe it was Bill that stated earlier that their engineers are already working with IDEM regarding the wetlands and how close they can build. So, per our stormwater management ordinance and the stormwater technical manual that we have, we're going to make sure that all the rules and regulations regarding wetlands, regarding drainage, regarding stormwater are all going to be followed to a T. Per our stormwater ordinance, not only the on-site water, so all of the stormwater that is going to be generated from the housing, from the roads, so on and so forth, that all has to be managed on site. I believe Todd said they will be constructing 4 retention basins. Obviously, we're going to work with them to make sure that the calculations are going to keep all of that stormwater on site as well as the off-site. So the off-site stormwater that's coming from Sharmar Hills, that's coming from Briarleaf Villas, that's coming from Tiffany Woods, all of that, anything that drains onto this site, Lennar knows that they have to also manage that stormwater. So I know there was some comments from some of the stormwater coming off of Sharmar Hills. I don't think we're gonna have any issue. I mean, obviously, right now, I know some of that floods. That's because it was graded to be a golf course. It wasn't graded to be a subdivision. So they know that they have to do all of that. They're also gonna need to construct an emergency overflow route. I know that they already know all of that. I know their engineers have already started to work on a plan. So stormwater and drainage, there isn't gonna be any type of problem. They know all of the rules, and we're gonna work with them. They're gonna have to submit a stormwater pollution prevention plan to us. Typically for subdivisions, it's 100 pages thick, so we'll work not only within the stormwater department, but I'll also engage the help with our city engineer's office to make sure that all of the standards that are from our department are gonna be met. So,
Thank you.
any questions? Thank you.
Would the applicant like to address some of the questions brought up by the public?
Thank you. I'll address a couple very quickly, and then I'll turn it over to Todd Clevin again. The issues I want to address, Mr. Taylor, very good detail attention back there. You were right. The project summary included in the application packet had a higher number for the smallest square footage. However, the architectural imagery of all the homes included the 1137. So both numbers were in there. The 1137 was in there in the imagery, but the summary had an error in it. The smallest is the 1137, and that is correct. With regards to Mr. Amber's comments, I think the water issue he talked about, that's been addressed by Mr. Werner, a department head from city. And with regards to his disagreement that the legal requirements have been met, that's what us lawyers do, right? That's what us lawyers do. Yeah, I feel very confident that all the information and evidence submitted tonight satisfies and gives you the ability to make a decision that the legal requirements have been met. Mr. Ambers, obviously on behalf of his client, disagrees. You're the arbiter of that, and I will leave it in your hands. With that, I will turn this over to Mr. Clevin, and he will answer some more of the questions, which I knew would be project-specific, and he can answer far better than I.
Can I ask one question?
No.
No, sir. Public comment is over.
Thank you again, and this is probably one of my longest petitions in my career. I did leave Cedar Lake, Indiana one time, a year older, and it did go past midnight, and I hope this one with the BZA does not follow in those footsteps, but if they do, I certainly apologize, but appreciate everybody's time. I'm going to take some of them in reverse, and I'm just going to go through these. If there's some that I did not specifically answer that you'd like me to, by all means, I'll just brief over them. So first and foremost, the Miss Deb Durbin, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her name, she spoke heavily about the drainage coming from the north through the south. Your staff addressed that. But for those in the room that are not familiar with how development works, I'll give you a 30,000-foot naive answer. 30 years ago, the state and federal guidelines would tell the developer, figure out what it's running, what the runoff is as an undeveloped or current state being the golf course, and then figure out what it's going to, and that would be like a 2-year storm, and then figure out what it's going to run off at a 100-year storm or whatever with the roofs, the sidewalks, and the driveways. The engineers would do that calculation, and that would determine the pond size. A way to also look at that is a bathtub. You could throw as much water in that bathtub as you possibly can, but you're only going to release what that drain allows it to release. And that drain is calculated by the math that the engineers use. However, that math could be manipulated. So fast forward 30 years, now I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Madeline, the state says you're only going to release this much, no matter what it did before, what it does in the future. This is the amount you're going to release. That increased our pond sizes as developers. So we actually solve a drainage problem when we come in and develop. However, as the staff indicated, we will have overflows. That's if all intents purposes, everything fails, we ensure that nobody is going to get flooded. So we design those flood routes so that water can go over the ponds and find the particular route that they need to go. As far as easements, I just reviewed the title work in the audience. As far as easements, where any adjacent property owners have rights to this property, that is not correct. If I'm incorrect, then our title work is incorrect. There are deed restricted wetlands, as was indicated, and those are being addressed. We do not plan on impacting those. I don't believe that we can impact them since they're deed restricted. As far as the trees on the property, we did do an analysis out there. We sent our landscape architect. Luke Fricky showed me an email from December 3rd where they responded that majority of the trees we can probably work with. So we're doing our best to save those trees. Adjacent property owners, there's one to the south that called our homes cheap. I believe, I could be incorrect, I didn't get her name and address, but I looked up every home on the south side of West 300 North. All of those homes' assessed values are lower than the homes we're proposing in this community. I think one of them was 280. I don't know if that was her specific house, but the largest one that I found on the south side was 310,000. So again, our homes will supersede the existing assessed values of that particular demonstration. Water and sewer, that's a technical question that was addressed. That'll be looked at very heavily as we move forward with the actual Plan Commission primary plat approval. Why so many homes? That was another question. Well, for one, a lot of cost goes into this. It's just a matter of buckets. It's a matter of mathematics. It's a matter of economics. We're looking at how we can address the off-site sewer, increase that, work with the municipality, same with the water. However, I did indicate that over 40% of this property will be open space. Your private developers, pickup truck developers that I referenced earlier, you would usually take a piece of property that's called 100 acres, you would subtract 10%, you know you can develop 90 acres, you get about 2.5 units per acre. If we did that here, we removed our amenities, we removed the open space, we would probably surpass the 2.25 units per acre that we are already proposing, that we're proposing here. Again, it's only 2.25 units per acre. That is not a high-dense community. High density, you start talking around 4, 5, 6 units per acre. You can make the argument that's high density, but this is 2.25. That's pretty much equivalent to 80-foot wide lots in a normal subdivision. For example, the Tiffany Woods Villas currently has a density of 4.5 units. Tiffany Estates to the north is just under 2 units per acre, so we're only asking for 2.25 units per acre. I don't think that you can call this high density. The gentleman that had an attorney represent him right there in the middle of West 390 stating that we will adversely affect him. I think that's a matter of personal opinion, but we are taking him into consideration, trying to be that nice neighbor and provide buffering around his entire parcel as best we can. And that same goes for all the adjacent property owners, as I mentioned earlier. Going back to Ms. Durbin, stating that we cannot berm and block her drainage. Of course we can't. We will not do that. And if we cannot berm, I'm not saying we're going to berm everywhere. I mentioned that we would meander and play with the topography. But of course, whatever water is coming under our site, we have to capture that and we have to manage that. So if a berm will adversely back that up, that would not be the case here. Access to parks by the public. That's a good one. That comes up a lot. Lennar Homes went into business in 1952. We have not had one HOA fail yet. That's something that we really are proud of. We can hang our hat on. A lot of other states have what they call an SSA, which is a backup mechanism where if for some reason the developer were to fail, the municipality can come in, take over that maintenance, and then back charge just the homeowners that reside in that community. I don't believe the state of Indiana has that. However, we will provide that language within our covenants and restrictions as well as our HOA. So if and when that statute becomes available, or if you can use that mechanism now as a municipality, you've got to come in and take over these HOA-owned outlots, you would be able to assess just the homeowners that are within that community. As far as allowing the public, that's something we could discuss later on in the future. It's very difficult to allow the public into private property. So if the municipality was wanting to own those, we would develop them. I don't have a problem doing that. We would develop them and deed them over to the municipality. I'm not so sure if that's a burden that you want to take on as far as the maintenance, but that's something that we are definitely open to discussing. Local contractors and union. Is the gentleman still here? Good deal. I was born and raised in a union household, and I strongly believe in that. I strongly believe in local workforce. Again, that's why I mentioned we were all from Lake County, Indiana. We're not from Schaumburg, Illinois. So we do try our best to bring those contractors in. I can't speak to it and guarantee that we will use local LaPorte, but we'll definitely give them the opportunity to bid on the project. And as far as union, everything horizontal is union, even to the excavating of the foundation of the home. And then from there up, it goes non-union. These homes would be $600,000 if they were built with union labor, unfortunately. So we do not use union. I'm not so sure I know of anybody that uses union on the vertical side. We do work with the unions. They come into us, they try to get our framing all the time, try to take aspects of the vertical side. It's just very difficult for them to be competitive. Again, I apologize for my dry voice. I don't think I missed anything.
I did, yeah.
That's it. So in my closing comments, I did forget to mention this when I was up here earlier. One way that Lennar is able to adjust to the market conditions, as I gave you that one example of what happened when the interest rates first ticked up. Lennar does own their own mortgage company. Currently, Lennar is offering mortgage rates for a 30-year loan way lower than what the current rate is. I think you can get a Lennar home right now for about 3.99, and that changes week by week. If we're having a soft week, Lennar nationwide will offer a 1, 2, 3, 4 type. We're always adjusting the financing in order to continue to build through it. And along with that, we also offer incentives. So with being the size that we are, we're able to adjust to the market conditions and keep the project vibrant and keep it moving. Because the last thing you want as a municipality is for a subdivision to go stagnant. You just don't want that. And we do our best to make sure we continue to maintain that pace and bring it to fruition, bring it to vegetation as soon as we can. And like I mentioned earlier, this is about a 5 to 6 year project, start to finish. Thank you very much for your time. I know it was long. We're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Any further questions from commission members?
Just one thing, I don't know if we addressed the traffic concern that some people had.
I forgot that. The golf course is it 18 holes? It's 18 holes, and I was over here running some numbers in my head. If they turn it over 3 times, you're looking at about probably 600 cars that come in and out of that in one day. So that golf course has already seen high traffic during its peak times or during an outing. However, Madeline, I did not give Madeline a chance to speak. She most likely will be speaking during the primary plat because that's when we really get detailed and she has to answer your staff reports, but she is available to speak to that in more detail. But we are looking into that.
Yeah.
You want to speak to it? Sure.
Hi there, Madeline Larman with Mackey Consultants. Our office is 9575 West Higgins Road in Rosemont, Illinois. As I was introduced, I'm the civil engineer assigned to the project, and we have begun, the due diligence portion of the project and reviewing the concept plans, providing notes, things of that nature. They do work with a separate traffic engineer specifically to do the traffic study, which they will engage, after hopefully some positive feedback here tonight. But based on high-level information, I believe Bill had run through the high-level numbers estimated were in your packet. Those are based on kind of rule of thumbs, single-family homes of this type. So we did provide that based on the unit count for now. And then we've also already reached out to the county and NDOT to, make sure we engage them early on what improvements might be necessary, what right-of-way dedications would be necessary. They review the traffic study that will be performed in detail, and then we work with them to do the improvements necessary, based on actual traffic counts and not just, but that gauge, we do have a pretty good sense of single-family homes of this nature, produce this amount of traffic, and that's where those initial, again, conceptual numbers come from. I think all the other engineering type questions were already addressed. So I guess let me know if there's anything else.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board members? We're here as an advisory position to the Common Council. So our position is either to recommend positively, negatively, or not make a recommendation at all. I've got an example resolution for the Plan Commission, and I'll read it here real quickly. LaPorte City Plan Commission recommends, this one is positive, to the Common Council of the City of LaPorte that a proposed ordinance that would rezone the parcels of real estate within the city from R1B Single Family Residential District to the R1D Single Family Residential District on the property legally described as, and then it's a property description. So that would be a positive resolution. You can change the words and make it a negative resolution, or we can address no resolution or no recommendation. Do I have the correct version? Mm-hmm. Okay. Correct language, rather. Do I have a recommendation, a motion from the commission members?
Or any further discussion?
Or any further discussion, yes.
I thank everybody for coming out. These are never easy. I think my wife would agree that I do not like change at all, even little things. So dealing with these larger things that affect neighbors and communities are none of us take it lightly. I did quite a bit of research ahead of this, so I was familiar with a lot of the NARS developments, drove them. I also I knew of the 3 golf courses in the area that had closed, and Brassy. I have some friends that have lived out there since it was a golf course, and now it's then not, and spoke to them a bit about the effect it's had on them, and the area has become a bit depressed because of it. I asked what they thought if a housing development had gone in there, and they said they likely would not have liked it to begin with, but now they're seeking some sort of development there, just because the amount of houses for sale around it is affecting them. I made a few notes. I'm on city council, and one of the things that I hear most often is affordable housing. How do we as local government provide affordable housing, short of some sort of government assistance, or how could we put that in place? One area that LaPorte County and our zoning maps have historically been behind in is the trend that other areas have done of these slightly higher dense neighborhoods. The 2.25 units per acre that's being discussed is commonly done elsewhere. It's not done here. So those are things that we have to take into account as to our schools are suffering, our schools are looking for people. How do we bring affordable housing in without subsidizing it of some sort? And to develop an area it costs, the infrastructure costs, any type of development we've looked at in the past few years, we've run into our zoning being not adequate to provide for these developments. So other areas have done it, and they're seeing the success around it. So I'm very sympathetic with the changes that have to occur. I grew up going to Briarleaf, extremely sad that it was closing. But I think we have to look at the market, what the market has told us. The market has told us that use is no longer. What is it going to be? I think we would have a similar conversation if it was going to be a slaughterhouse, which it currently could become, without any type of this meeting or plan or anything like that. So I don't know if anybody else has any other discussion or comment about it.
Any other comments?
Then I would make the recommendation that we positively recommend it to the city council.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for a favorable recommendation. I'll take a vote. Vicky Gusarski.
Aye.
Gusarski, I can't, sorry. Drew Buchanan.
Aye.
Pete Saunders.
Aye.
Miles Fettinger.
Aye.
Julie West.
Aye.
Jerry Jackson, aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and getting your concerns. Continue to keep talking, please, because, you know, this is, as they said, they'll use the word organic. Things are gonna change. We'll try to improve this as best we can to make it more agreeable for everybody. All right, what do we got left?
Plan commission meeting for one night. Broken ever. Current, or is that old?
That's old. That's old.
So we got number 7.
Number 7, is there, David, is there,
Hold on one second. Folks, if you guys are leaving, could you please exit quietly to permit us to conclude our meeting?
David, did you have anything on the comprehensive plan update, or Craig?
I'll just briefly report that progress continues on the development of the plan draft. We recently had a public open house that was well attended and got additional feedback on that. We plan on having another open house once the transportation element has been more fully developed for public comment and consumption. But yeah, so more opportunities for public input to come, but we are continuing to develop the plan and we'll notify people accordingly once those opportunities become available.
Thank you. Any other business from the Plan Commission members?
Nope.
To hear a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you all.